Well, why is it a secret, Doc?
But who have you reordered the questions for? What was the order previously and why has it changed and for who?
I don't question me.
Okay, fine.
Ask the Hosts, episode 36. I'm Joe.
I'm Allan.
I'm May.
And I'm Shane.
Hello all. The idea of this show is very simple. You send in your questions to us to show@askthehost.com and we answer them. The catch is they can be about anything except Linux and open source. Before we get going, just a quick thank you to people who support us with PayPal and Patreon. We really do appreciate that. And remember that patrons get these episodes 2 weeks before everyone else. The first question then. Teg asks, what is your ideal inside light bulb temperature? 2700K, 3000K, 4000K, etc. Or do you just buy whatever is on sale? Or do you like to change it as day goes to night?
So it depends a bit on what I'm using the light for, but the lights in all of my offices are 5000K.
Oh my God.
I do task lighting, right? I want to be able to see, so I want the bright white blue light to be able to see well. Whereas like in my bedroom, I want like 2700K and I can turn the light off and go to bed. But most of the things in my house are full 5000K. When I remodeled the house, I bought these wafer LEDs that have a little selector switch and you can do everything from 2700 to 5000. But I think almost all of them are set to 5000 because I like being able to see the right color of stuff instead of have everything have a yellow tinge to it or something.
Do you like to arc weld indoors?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. My garage had this one bare light bulb as part of the garage door opener or whatever. And so you turn the light on in there and you could barely see anything. So I went on to Amazon and bought a bunch of these like 4-foot long 5000K light bulbs and stuck them to the ceiling. So now it's brighter than the sun in the garage and you can definitely see to work.
That's insane. I think I have everything set to 2700K, except during the day in the office, I go to 3500. That's it. Everything's high CRI, so I can see what I'm doing, even though it's not burning my eyes out.
High CRI color rendering index, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing with cheap LEDs. They don't render colors properly. And so one 2700 is not necessarily the same as another one. Like they might appear to be that yellowy color, but then when you actually try and work with it, it's just like, it's really painful if the color rendering is terrible.
Yeah, I remember I had in the living room of my old house, we had these pod light fixtures that took a normal like A16 screw light bulb. And I got these color changing LED things off Amazon and plugged them in and they had a little remote and they were supposed to come on the right color by default, but they didn't. But to make white, it was just the red, green, and blue all on at the same time. So you got a white light, but then there'd be little lobes around the edges of just the one color on the edge of the downlight. And so there'd just be red, green, and blue. And it was just like, this is absolute trash. And so, yeah, the white wasn't a good white. And yeah, it's definitely a thing to, when you're shopping for the light bulbs, in addition to the color temperature, looking for a higher CRI, that means that it's actually going to mean when you look at stuff, it looks like color it actually is instead of being corrupted by whatever they did in the LED.
This is a whole avenue of existence I have not rabbit holed down. I just buy light bulbs like a normal person. And but the problem is, right, that now you've got my wheel spinning, because what I typically do is I just turn off the top light as we're recording. I don't have upper lights. I just have lamps. So at nighttime, when I want things to be darker, I just turn off the top lights and put on lamps, and that's kind of nice. But it kind of is now pipped my curiosity because I'd quite like night shift on Mac or Linux or whatever, you know, the like
Redshift
thing that changes the color on your screen. I quite like doing that, so I'm kind of tempted to explore this a bit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I am 2700 for life, basically. All the lights in this house are 2700, whether that is the GU10 spotlights in the ceiling or the pendants and the lamps. I just go as warm as possible, you know, as yellowy and orangey as possible. Like, I can't imagine having 5,000. Just, that must be horrible. That's like going to the dentist or something.
It's like being in an office all day.
Well, in my office, that's what I want. But in our kitchen, we have these smarter LEDs. So when you turn them on, they're on a dimmer and they're 5000K and you can change the brightness. But if you turn it off and back on really quick, it turns to a nightlight mode where it has a ring of 2700K LEDs around the rim of the fixture. And so you get a warm night light kind of thing, which makes sense for trying to get a snack without red shifting yourself back into it's daytime now because you turned the lights on in the kitchen.
I have never heard of a 5,000 Kelvin dim to warm light.
Funnily enough, I have my screen at 5,000, my redshift.
Well, is it actually helping that? Because the whole point there is to try to limit the amount of blue. And the whole point of 5,000K is lots of blue.
Well, it does take the edge off the blue slightly.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it to be like super orange and just not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
This just takes that very slight edge off. Jabel, I think that's how you say it, asks, when was the last time you did something nice for yourself? What was it? Did you appreciate it? I have no answer for this. I never do anything nice for myself because all I do is what I want at all times, pretty much.
So your life is you being nice to yourself.
Pretty much.
Okay. Good answer.
Well, do you appreciate it?
No, I like to moan about it instead.
At least he's honest.
Doesn't sound very nice.
That's the thing. If you don't have like the constant misery to then treat yourself, then you don't really appreciate the treating yourself.
Yeah.
So misery wins.
Misery wins every time.
Yeah.
I think most of the times I do something nice for myself, it's more about time or making time for something rather than something physical or whatever. And it's just, with being so busy, it's often saying, even though there's other things I should be doing, I'm going to sit down and just OCD on this filing system for literally all my paper mail instead of doing all these other things I'm supposed to be doing. Just letting my brain do the thing it wants to do, even though it's not what I should be doing.
I've started playing games regularly with a group that meets every week, and that's been very nice. I don't think I've ever done something leisurely like that, and that sounds kind of sad, but, you know, it makes sense if you work in our line of work, I guess. You just kind of get used to being busy all the time. It's nice to say, all right, the laptop's not going anywhere. Everything that's on it is going to be fine when I come back, and if it's not fine, someone else will have taken care of it. It'll be okay. Goodbye.
I'm sure I do nice things for myself. I just can't recall. Or the one I thought of was sometimes I'll light a fire in the garden and just smoke a cigarette and just contemplate existence. And that is just a very, very nice moment. This is the second time I've been on here and talked about smoking, but I swear I'm not a smoker.
That was very funny going through the language barrier of English UK to English US and thinking, why are you setting your plants on fire?
Yeah. Set fire to my garden, just watch it burn. It's a great time.
Jezra asks, and I'm paraphrasing here, is guitar stank face a natural or learned behaviour? And so the longer version of it is it natural behaviour for lute players, guitar, banjo, dombra, lute, etc., to make a face when playing high notes on the frets close to the instrument body, or is it a cultural/social construct that players perform due to ingrained societal expectations? So yeah, I'm talking about that face that guitarists make when they're like really going for it with a solo or whatever.
I think the sociology answer to this is humans are social creatures, therefore, even if it is a learned behavior, it's a natural behavior.
Seems like a cop-out answer, but yeah. I expect it's more learned. There's not something necessarily natural about it, but, you know, you get those other people that, you know, when they concentrate, their tongue always sticks out a little bit and things like that. Or have you ever seen it like in animals? There's certain animals.
Right, and you'll see that even in a room of kindergartners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll see that.
Yeah, and there's some of them just do it naturally, and so I expect if it was natural, it wouldn't be as common.
This also isn't exclusively a thing for guitarists or like stringed instruments. You see this for all instrument players. The only difference for like woodwinds and brass instruments is that you need to be holding your face a certain way in order to play the note in the first place. But you also just kind of forget that you're supposed to be making faces at some point, and whatever happens, happens.
Well, and also, I can go and watch a musical performance, and if it's really good, then I'll get this kind of dirty look on my face. And, you know, that's like, I'm really enjoying it. Like, yeah, that is really rocking, or that, you know, this electronic music is really slapping, as the kids say.
You sure that's not just you being a pervert?
No.
What is this dirty look? What are you talking about?
Well, this is an audio medium. I know you lot can see me on this, so I'm not going to do it because I have to describe it instead so the audience can understand it. It's like, I don't know, it just, imagine that you were angry with someone, sort of passive aggressively angry at them and you wanted to kind of show it with your face, that kind of involuntarily happens to me. And it's like, yeah, that is such a dirty beat, or that rocks so hard. And I just get this sort of scowl on my face. And that's completely involuntary. And I also play guitar. And when I'm doing solos, I think I must do that stank face, as they call it. So I'm going with, it's not learnt. I think it just comes naturally to people. I mean, it must have come naturally to someone in the first place. Like you said, May, kind of the sociologist's answer. But no, I think it is completely natural.
I don't know if I do this when I play guitar, but I kind of want to record myself to see what my stank face looks like now.
I mean, you see it in drummers too, when they really get into it. And it's just, when you're thinking so hard about a piece of music, you can't think about how your face is going anymore. And what happens, happens.
Yeah.
Is there like accountant stank face? Like, is it focused on anything?
Yeah.
Like, why is it particularly musicians? It's like, it's interesting.
Maybe when they're like doing the spreadsheet really hard.
Yeah. Excel is on fire.
John asks, what's the most surreal thing you've ever experienced in real life?
I don't know if this one is surreal. You can kind of calibrate that for me. But as I was traveling through the west coast of the US, I was hitting a lot of like national parks. And eventually I got down to the Grand Canyon. And I was traveling with someone, and we both hit the Grand Canyon with these kind of like expectations of like this is going to be absolutely amazing. And we both got there and saw it, and it was like, this is unfathomably large. And we sort of felt this like weird, both of us did, which is why it's kind of interesting, but we always felt this weird emptiness. And like, we came away from it different. And in a way of like I used to travel all the time, but I felt sort of hollow after it. I sort of was like, I'm going to stop traveling and work on myself a bit more. And I kind of really, I don't know. I have no idea how to describe it other than I had a weird experience at the Grand Canyon and it changed me and I can't describe it. I don't know if that's surreal or not, but it was definitely a like defining moment where it kind of really, my life changed quite a lot after that experience.
That sounds to me like you experienced awe. It was awesome in the true old-fashioned sense of it, not like awesome like a hot dog. Like true, just not even really being able to process the beauty of what you were looking at maybe and the scale of it and everything.
Yeah, I could be it that. I'd hit a lot of different national parks, so I'd seen a lot of amazing things. This just, I didn't even feel awe. It just felt empty. It was very weird.
Maybe that is how you feel awe.
Maybe. It's underwhelming. I don't rate it.
Changed my life. Kind of sucked.
Yeah, man. I'd rather have just kept traveling, to be honest. But there you go.
2 out of 10.
Yeah. Too big.
It's just a big ditch.
Well, for me, I have to go all the way back to 1999 when I was working in a nightclub. I think it was around that time anyway, late 90s. I was working in a nightclub and I was like working at the bar at the top of the club and the dance floor was like about as far away from me as you could get, but it was kind of down in a pit, if you know what I mean. There was like all balconies around it that looked down on the dance floor. And so just all night it was just all night long. But at the time, there was a song from DJ Tiesto, I think, which was like a trance remix of Adagio for Strings. And in that song, it breaks down to just this sort of string type sound, the most beautiful music you can imagine. And like, I remember that happening and just feeling really surreal, I suppose is the only word for it. Like, you've just had that, pounding all night. And then there's just suddenly in this nightclub where people are just drinking and trying to get off with each other and everything. And it's just this beautiful, beautiful music coming. And like everyone's just sort of stood on the dance floor, not really knowing what to do until the beat comes back in and just looking awkward. And it was just a very, very weird moment, I would say. And that felt, I suppose, pretty surreal.
I wonder how the DJ felt in that moment.
Well, like no one's dancing, my song has ruined everything, but it's kind of a weird contemplative moment.
Well, maybe that was the point. I mean, they are still artists. Maybe that's what they wanted to happen.
I don't dream often, but I have this one dream that occurs where I literally feel like an embodied entity over a canyon, actually, weirdly. Man, maybe we're working through some stuff here. But like this weird, just floating, like, not like just ephemeral entity that just exists connected to everything else. Very odd. I don't know why I have that dream, but I do have it on occasion when I do dream.
Is this the call of the void?
That is quite clearly related to this experience you had.
Yeah. I think I need to go back to the Grand Canyon, actually. This is what we're working out my holiday plans.
Stay away from the ledge.
You can't fly, no matter what you dream.
I don't know. The dream's pretty convincing, Alan. It feels great.
Nah, I'm built different. I don't know if I make this too real, but basically the entire experience of transition is surreal. Seeing the way that people, even people who knew me before I transitioned, treat me now that I look like the gender that like is correct. It's hard to describe it as anything other than surreal because it is just the stereotypical ways that any woman says that she's treated in society. All of that, except with the experience of not having that before. And people will tell you, if you're not a feminist before you start a transition MTF, you sure will be a few weeks in. And that is absolutely true. But also some of the more mental, like, the first time I saw myself in the mirror and my brain did that, like, very, very split second, identification, is this person man or woman, or am I confused? And got woman. Huh. I noticed it immediately. And that's a thing that didn't stop. And for the person who's undergoing a transition, that takes a lot longer than the people around them because, you've seen yourself your entire life. So you're applying the way that you've seen yourself for the however many years before this point to what you look like now. Whereas everyone else, it was months before it happened for me. It was already like, that's a woman. But I don't know how to describe it anyway, except surreal, that things just kind of change. People just kind of treat you different. And some of it's that weird chivalry that everyone talks about happening that is just as bad as being actively insulted in a lot of ways. It's very patronizing.
Interesting. So you get to experience the privileges of being male and then have to suffer from not the loss of that, but that transition. That's really interesting.
I don't even know if I describe it as a loss, but that's just because I wanted this to happen,
Sure. Yeah.
Like, well, that's one thing that's really hard to explain to people. Like, why would you ever want to do that? It's like, well, that you've never wanted to do that is exactly, you're cis. Like, of course you've never thought of wanting to do that. You're cis.
Yeah. It's like when we talked about it early on before you'd come out and stuff. And like I said, it's something that I just can't really understand. And you said, well, of course you can't understand it. Like, of course you can't.
No shit, Sherlock, you're cis.